Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is November the 5th, 2023 on the ancient moon calendar, 2024 on the ancient sun calendar. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity. This is a sovereign living ancient, Article 3, Moorish American, Al-Moroccan, living universal court action in accordance with the ancient Noahide laws as stated by this Holy Congress. We are the sovereign living justices and Ego Sum Pauline Denise Ritchie. My free chosen sovereign appellation is Light Tajiri Bay. All are in capitis diminution nolo in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We are capite et corpus juris legalis, which is our statement that we are the original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, lawful, and legal natural head and body for our empire. All Moors are the original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants. That means ascending means the higher. Of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Israelites, Hamathites, Cushites, and Hittites. Israelites, not Israelis, Israelites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our honor, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan de jure empire state for Morocco. We're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are ancient Washington District for Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Earthwide Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. Today we are exercising, and we are the law. Let me correct that. Today we are the law by our sovereign status, which is the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient, Article 3, living United States District for Columbia Court, and we are the sovereign fiduciaries, original creditors, executors, trustees, ministers, possessors, titled beneficiaries, and titled trustors for all causes for action. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby recognize ourselves and accept our sovereign ascension. We do hereby possess in our custody all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We, the true living God nation, are not at war, and we hereby exercise all eternal, ancient, sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, nunc pro tunc, Islam. So the principles that we share are not our opinion, because some people think this is all about Light's opinion. This is not about any of our opinions. Along with our sovereign, powerful demonstrations and study, these laws and processes that we share are based on principles of stare decisis, res judicata, ancient positive supreme law for the land long established in sovereign order. Erudite principles and processes for daily practical application to intelligently govern our vast estate every day is what our ancient ancestors have given us to share with the ancient sovereign nations, tribes, clans, states, and governments at earth, and for this we are grateful. Islam. So the first thing that we want to place on the record, my word, is that our ancestors are ensuring that we see that everything that this Congress has stated manifests for everyone to see, not just us, everyone to see that what we state is the law, Islam. So with that being stated, we are going to we're going to be, again, we stated this in previous meetings, but really quickly we'll just state it again. We're going to be focused on United States travel and transportation processes, okay? And when we say United States, we mean the original indigenous ancient states united. The sooner we demonstrate our travel and transportation system that we've put in place, as we demonstrate it, we can then see, okay, what other parts shall we add to our system to make our system run smoothly and be more effective. So the sooner that we do that, the sooner we can travel our great and vast empire together. The outcomes will be great. We know that. And we also see, in the chat, there are those who come in to share links to their meetings and things of that nature. And we want you to know we appreciate that. We appreciate that you've come to share, because the thing about any meetings, any information, anything, we welcome the links in the chat. We welcome them. Why? Because we already know that our sovereign filters will ensure that the truth of those meetings is brought forth in our spirit. Okay? So we're anyone who's having Moorish meetings out there, or meetings period, it doesn't matter what the nationality of the meeting is, feel free to come in and place your links in the chat, because our ancestors have given each and every one of us a sovereign and holy filter, so that when truth is presented, it resonates within the frequencies of our truth center. And our truth center will say, okay, this sounds good. This part sounds good. This part I'm going to set aside for a minute because it's not ringing my truth center. This part sounds good, and let me do a little more research on this because it's ringing my truth center, but I will affirm through my own study. That's what we all do. So Justice Grieb, we thank you so much for being here. We're honored. Your presence is an honor for us. And we thank you for the meeting before the meeting as well, because the information that you bring is valuable to this Congress as well. And you are part and parcel of Congress as well, as we all are. With that being stated, thank you, thank you, thank you. Really quickly, yes, indeed, Justice Grieb says the ancestors have strongly spoken to us. Yes, indeed. We want to bring your attention to some of the sidebars of the actors that show what no trust looks like, okay? Where the actors are concerned, one of the actors doing business that was previously acting as a judge gave a restraining order, quote unquote, because we know they can't give out any orders at all because they're not real courts, but they gave a quote unquote restraining order to the actors previously acting as a Biden administration. And that just goes to show that whenever things like that are taking place, that there's something going on where the trust is broken, and then something happened where they could not communicate, okay? And I will put the link to that particular, I'll put the link in the chat so that those who may be interested in looking at that can look at it. There's the link in the chat to that particular enactment from the previous era. And what they're doing is they're saying, hey, federal actors, you can't cross our state lines, when that is just, that's not how the trusts were supposed to work. And that's why I guess it made some news or whatever. Next, I wanted to put a quick link in the chat. Just one moment. Put a quick link in the chat regarding some media that we saw where the, just a moment, let me get that out of here. where the actors are starting to state that they're, just one moment, there was an imposter there saying something there. I don't know what that was about. But I just put a link in the chat to, it's a 3-minute movie clip from some movie about the Sicilian Italian Moors, and how the actors in the movie are telling the Sicilian Italian Moors where they come from. Okay, and when we say Sicilian Italian Moors, there's a line that came from our sons, and then there's a line that came from us, the matriarchs. So I did not see the whole movie, Justice Malik. I didn't see it. I just saw that little clip. And the ancestors are putting those things up because we made a statement about media speaking about the Moors in truth. And sometimes they don't make, those that are actors don't always make it pretty because they can't really make it pretty. They make it what they create according to their nature. And so that's just a 3-minute clip regarding the Moors and the Sicilian Italians. Now, from the last Congress, we talked about the makeup of a successful demonstration from start to finish. There's a couple of things that we went over in the past that I did not put specifically in the last Congress meeting. We mentioned them about debt cancellation and acquisition, but in this particular presentment, we have put the whole process from start to finish in there. And the reason we've done that is because as we demonstrate, some Moors have been a little hesitant to put their appellations on the documentation that they're doing. Islam, Justice Howard, it's open. So first a lien, next a levy, third a bond, fourth a 1099-C debt cancellation, and that's again the restated forms. We don't use their black forms. We use our restated 1099-Cs. For every form that they had, we have a restated lawful and legal form and format, affidavit format. For every form that they ever had, we have a restated one. And then a 1099 acquisition for property. Number 6, proper commercial exchange on the public record. This is important. United States buys from the person through King, and I'm just saying, this is how we do it at this territory. The United States, which is us, buys from the person, which is, we restate the names, through King County Court. We issue Dollarium gold receipt with a bank credit letter stating that Dollarium is accepted by the King County Court Bank or any of the other banks that we've restated, Wells Fargo, Bank for America, J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, all of those banks, those are ours. We've restated them all. And they're well aware of that, and we'll show you a little bit more about their enactment according to our commands. And then number 7, Article 3 patent, if it's applicable, or a deed and title to the property. Number 8, a removal statement of all presumed alien interest. All that is a statement that says anybody coming with fiat has no interest in what we're doing, so they have to, that doesn't exist. Where our exchanges and our properties are concerned, we don't honor fiat in this on our land. Number 9, statement of debtors in abandonment, meaning that anyone coming with fiat is actually they owe. And not only do they owe, but they are no longer even on the land. Most of them have abandoned. All of them have abandoned in reality. And we've shown you some abandonment statements in our last Congress. We're going to show more about that, today. And then number 10, an occupancy certificate from the city. And we're the city, so we create the occupancy certificates. So when it comes to property, you have 3 levels of law that are demonstrating. 3 levels of law that are demonstrating. Those 3 levels are the United States, which is us, the States United, by way of the internal revenue, which is us and our courts. You have the United States General Services, which is that same level. But initially, everything starts with a lien by the Moorish government, the Moorish National Republic federal government, on Moorish government letterhead. That starts the entire, because the claim has to be properly stated. The claim must be properly stated. And then the debt cancellation is a United States debt cancellation. The acquisition for property is by way of us, the United States. The exchange on the public record, now that is where the money is being exchanged, okay? And when we say money, we're talking about, just a moment, let me make sure that we show what money is on our screen as well. Here, let me just put this. Can you all see us on the screen?
Islam.
Okay.
Yes.
Islam.
Gold and silver. Okay, gold and silver. Is money. Whether that be bullion, whether it be coinage, whether it be whatever it is, that's money. And more is sovereign dollarium, gold receipts. This is money. This is real money. All of this is real money. Okay? So,
Islam.
Here's gold coinage as well, gold coinage as well, gold coinage as well, and then money.
I need to ask you.
Just a moment. Okay, just a moment, Empress. Let me just finish with what we're stating here regarding gold coinage and silver coinage and money. For those, just one moment. Can you see what can you see me on the screen? Am I on there, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Empress Camilla, they can see. Everyone can see. So you may want to go out and come back in, Empress Camilla, so that you can see. Because we're on the screen, because others can see, so we can all see the same thing. Stamps and post office money orders that we create is money. Any paper that we create is money, okay? Any paper that we create. For example, the stamps that we've been using for years to send our documentation all over the place, that is money. But it's because we created it that the system honors it. So we don't use fiat to send mailings out. We haven't done that. We haven't done that in years. We use our money and our stamps that we create, and the system honors that. And so there was a question, an Empress that had a question. What was your question, Empress?
Yes, I wrote it in chat, but I was asking, are the quarters that's already in use, the coin quarters, is that considered real money?
If it's made of 0.999 or at least 91% silver, it is. And the older ones are silver. But the newer ones, I think after 1960 something, the newer ones they took out. Go ahead.
1964. I own a Islam.
Yeah, he says 1965. You'll have to do the research to because I'm not sure exactly which year. I know it was sometime in the 60s that they took the rest of the silver out and started using something else. So these coinages that we've been receiving are 0.999% silver or 0.999% gold. It just depends on, and then, you know, the bullion and things that we receive, whether it be silver or gold bullion, has always been, just one moment, has been 0.999%. Okay. We did, I think, receive a 0.91. Empress Nabi says that 1965 and after is only 70% silver. So they were clipping and clipping and clipping then. That's why, you know, again, if we started printing our own, minting rather, our own coinage, we already know that it's going to be the right amount of silver and the right amount of gold. And at some point we will do that. There's a question in the chat that says, where can we buy bullion, silver or gold? Our suggestion for that is our Empress, Dr. Nyela Gilliam. We're going to suggest that you connect with her. If you go to House of Reawakening Minds on YouTube, you can see down at the bottom, she has a phone number down there where you can call or send a text message and let her know that you want to get some silver from her. Okay? And then that silver is what we accept for the things that we do, the paperwork and the firearms licenses, the driver licenses, and all of that. We accept gold and silver bullion for that, as well as gold and silver coinage. And that's why we're showing that. And then we give the Moorish Sovereign Dollarium gold receipts as the receipt for that, gold and silver receipts. So Moorish Sovereign Dollarium is automatically being exchanged back and forth for gold and silver because it's equal to it. Why? Because it has our signatures on it. The signatures is the energy. Is there a way to measure the gold that's not foreign when accepting it for payment? Yes. The way to do that is to get a scale, weigh it, and then compare it to the amount. Whether, now, if you're talking about nationalized gold, that's a different amount of what's called price discovery. According to anyone who did not have an opportunity to see our Grand Sheik Tarik Bey this past Friday at House of Reawakening Minds, if someone would put the link to that in the chat so that everyone can see it. In fact, I think I'll put it in the chat because I did. Yes, I'll put it in the chat in just a moment. So just as a sidebar, we're talking about our writing, our signatures, and things of that nature. Does anyone in this meeting know why we write first in red? Does anyone know why? There are several reasons.
Blood. Life is in the blood.
Yes. He said blood. Yes. Go ahead, Empress.
Oh, I was going to say the blood and the sovereign and living, the fact that we're alive, bloodline.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else?
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
that the Christ has spoken.
Yes. The Savior speaks in red. That's even what red letter edition Bibles were all about, is the words of Jesus were in red, or of Yeshua were in red, to state the living. Yes.
The authority.
Yes.
That's why that comes first.
I just love us. I love our science. I love everything about us. May I? Yes, Islam Empress.
I was going to say the Logos manifested in the flesh.
Come on and teach, Empress. Yes. Yes,
Word.
indeed. Word. Yes, indeed. And if I may, Holy Congress, might I show you one other reason why we write in red first, and then we do blue things afterward? Yes, in the chat, Justice Kyle says sentient sovereignty, indeed. And there is yet another reason why we write in red. It has a lot to do with our science. I was so excited when I saw this. We write in red because, well, and let's not forget that it indicates the land jurisdiction. Red is the land jurisdiction. Blue is the water, and light blue is the water. It's peaceful waters, but dark blue is waters as well. So either one is acceptable. Number 3. Look on your left at which color has the highest wavelengths in the range of the visible spectrum. The highest wavelength, which means the highest frequency. Red.
That's
700.
passion.
Yes.
It says limit.
Yes.
Because we are the limit. Anything beyond us, we go beyond where we can think and imagine, and no man can go beyond where we go, because we're infinite. We're omnipresent. We're omniscient.
No limits.
So,
Yes. Yes, indeed. Indeed.
There's no limits. We were everything.
Yes.
No limits.
Indeed. Indeed. We affirm.
Exactly.
We affirm. So now let's point a couple of things out on this chart right here, because this is when we restate the chart, we would say red, no limit. We would say that when we restate this chart. That's the wavelength, which is the frequency as well. Wavelength means the length of the wave, the frequency wave. Now, let me state this about that. First, we speak and write in red. Now, mind you, we had not seen this chart when we first started writing in red. The ancestors just said, do this, and then we'll explain to you why after you do it, because they want us to trust what they tell us. And then they show us afterward that as we speak it, it is manifested. Then, so red is the highest wavelength, but then what do? We write things in blue, because blue is admiralty. It manifests in this realm, this 3D, dimensional range. And blue is down here at the bottom, but look at the frequency of blue. It's 6.66. That means that there is a connection there with our bloodline and commerce. Our bloodline and commerce. And the reason that this number scared the corpses from the last era, this number scared them, because once we take complete control, as we have done, of the commerce with our own money, our gold and silver, and we begin trusting each other and accepting gold and silver from each other, and issuing more sovereign dollarium receipts from each other, what other purpose did they serve? They only did commerce. They have that one chakra that we gave them. And once we took complete dominion over the sea, as the waters cover the sea, because that's in the Biblios, about the waters covering the sea. As the waters cover the sea, that's why the matriarch is called Mommy Water. Mommy Water. Because our wealth and our heirs come in a sack of water. And then out comes more wealth. More wealth. So where energy levels are concerned, red has the repeating sevens, 1.77. It is the lowest or most inert. Inertia is actually the right word for the energy level. Now, tell me, can anyone hazard some information, or some, not hazard, can anyone state some wisdom about why the energy level would be the lowest for us? And how would that be beneficial to the entire earth? Yes, Islam.
Because that's where things create from. The beginning is there. So when things begin, they start in like a seed form, and once they start to bloom, that's when the energy starts to pick up as things start to grow. So things start in red as the lowest energy, because things is, starting to get harvested and created, and things start to multiply, and as things multiply, then the energy starts to, get higher and higher and higher.
Islam.
Yes. Islam, Empress.
It's also, the red is the root chakra, and the root
is
the foundation. That's where everything is anchored.
Yes.
And from there, everything grows and comes forth.
Yes. 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 Yes to all. Yes to all of that. In addition to what the matriarchs have stated, Matriarch Angel and Matriarch Shasha, in addition to what they've stated, and Empress Camilla and Matriarch Camilla, in the beginning, she says, yes, in the beginning, everything was quiet. Everything was quiet. Now, where energy levels and this lowest energy level is concerned, this is the energy level where peace resides. The higher the energy level, the more it resembles war. It resembles war. It doesn't have to be war. It can be celebration for us. High energy level is peaceful celebration. But the lowest energy level is the level of peace. We don't have to see, whenever Yeshua was speaking in the Bible and there were things going on, what did Yeshua say? Peace, be still. That means all energies stop moving. Go to don't stop, but go to the lowest energy level. This is how you know that when we're speaking peacefully in red, that there can be no war. We're not at war. Our commerce is it looks like war, but it's not war because we're on our own land. Okay? Violet is similar to purple, similar to it. It's not exactly like purple, but it's similar. royal subjects frequency. Royal subjects frequency. So where blue is concerned, it's low commerce and gold and silver and more sovereign dollarium, gold receipts and things of that nature. It looks like war just because of the frequency of our commerce. However, it's not war, it's peace for us, unless we're using foreign tools. In the last era, we were using tools that were foreign. In this era, we're not. We're using things that are made from natural gold, natural silver, and our own red signatures on and red seals. And with Morris Sovereign Dollarium, the heirs can even they can sign it in blue with a red, right red thumbprint. Still, it's the red that gives it the peace, with red as the foundation. It's going to raise the frequency and lower the war energy. And in fact, it actually obliterates. War energy does not exist when we're in our peaceful state. So that's something we wanted to share with you really quickly. This is why we write in red first. We do our Moorish government affidavit first, whether that be name change and judicial proclamation or whether it be the fiduciary document. And then we put with that a blue company document where we've restated the logo and we've stated some things, put some things in there. Okay. So again, red, the reason we use red and write in red, if any of your, those who are just coming into more science or who are curious about more science want to know, it's because it is the highest wavelength and frequency that we can even see in this third dimension. So now, another something that we want to bring forth about this third dimension and about the previous letters, because remember, speaking of our fiduciary document, on the fiduciary document, we say that we are the fiduciaries, we're the lords, we're the gods for all letters, all numbers, and everything. Let us show you where the letters were first there was an attempt to hypothecate the letters. If you look here at Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, under Christian name, a Christian name, and we'll just start right here, may consist of a single letter. So they were claiming all letters. But look carefully at what they say here. It says there is no presumption that letters are not themselves Christian names, and where a letter or letters appear before a surname, they are treated, in the absence of any showing to the contrary, as the Christian name. So when someone says J.P. Morgan Chase, if we had not liened that thing, levied all of the property, and then restated that, it would have been assumed to be a Christian organization, a Christian banking institution, when it's not. It's not. It's Islamic Muslim. When they say, and we've heard this, and again, we're not at war with Christians. We love Christians. We created them. When they say America is a Christian nation, only in the absence of anything showing to the contrary. Well, we created America. We created America. So it's Islamic Muslim with Christians in it. And again, we love the Christians. We created them. So This is, again, where our fiduciary affidavit on Moorish government letterhead in red and all lowercase letters, because see that even the lowercase letters is going to encompass single letters. So our fiduciary document is that powerful that it puts the right nationality on all the documents that we put with it. That's why we don't send company documents out without at least the fiduciary affidavit going with it. By definition, we want it to be stated properly that this is not per se, and I'm saying per se because even the first Christians were Moors. And they were on their way to create all other Christians, whether they be Protestant, Catholic, or whatever other Christian denomination, Lutheran, Methodist, Episcopalian, African Methodist, Episcopal. It doesn't matter what the Christian, what name they call themselves. They all started with us. So there is no absence to the contrary. We're right here. We're stating for the record. And this language, whenever you see in the absence of anything showing to the contrary or in the absence of a national ID, because we've heard that term before, Article 1508 on the U.S. Department of Justice website, quote unquote, it states that a driver's license, a social security card, and a birth certificate are in the absence of a national ID. Okay, we have our national IDs, and not only have we fulfilled that mandate by our ancestors, we've also gone ahead and given birth certificate and all of that. We create those because that's the true birth. It's a living birth and not a dead one. So with that being stated, House of Reawakening Minds this past Friday was just very beautiful. And our Grand Sheik Tarik Bey was discussing the Coinage Act of 1792 regarding U.S. FIAT debt notes. And he stated, and we're quoting him here, U.S. FIAT debt notes were a weapon against the people. They were a weapon. So, and of course, Dollarium, anytime, and this Congress we have to thank for this, this Congress, anytime discussions among the living come about where money is concerned, Dollarium always comes up. More sovereign Dollarium always comes up, and we have this Congress to thank for that. Because it was this Congress that voted on the creation of Dollarium, on how Dollarium was to be tributed, and all of that. Okay, and so in the here's the link in the chat to I'll put the link in the chat to House of Reawakening Minds. Yes, it was a beautiful video. It was very informative. Yes, in the chat. Anytime you're talking about money among Moors, Dollarium comes up. No matter who's talking about it. The temples are talking about it, and for that we're grateful. We know that for sure because we've seen and heard, and they've come to us in various temples have come regarding Moorish sovereign Dollarium and the use of it, and they've been watching, and they've stated from the very beginning that, you know, like we may not say anything all the time, but we're watching. And so we have this Congress to thank for that, that anytime anyone living is talking about money, Moorish sovereign Dollarium comes up. Why? Because it's the law. See, Moorish sovereign Dollarium and gold and silver, all of this, that's not our opinion. That's the law. It's the law. And some might say, well, gold and silver is, but more sovereign dollarium isn't. These are the receipts that say that real gold and silver was given. So when you see these, you know that gold and silver was either exchanged, or whoever it is that's giving them out, the living that's giving out more sovereign dollarium, is made of gold and silver, or is heir to the gold and silver. Because, you know, we do have gold and silver running through our veins. And we have the authority and the ability to turn all base metal into gold. That's simple alchemy. It's very simple alchemy. And you know what does it? Heat. Heat. Gold will outlast all the other metals where heat is concerned, with the exception of 2 or 3 metals that will last through that. But aside from, you know, gold and silver will last, but gold will last through the heat. So that's also a hint for the Moors, that we last through the heat. We've proven that. All of us have proven that. So with that being stated, at minute 1 hour and 21 minutes, Dollarium is mentioned. Our Grand Sheik did affirm Dollarium there at House of Reawakening Minds this time, and he's done that many times in the past. And we try to snip it every time that he affirms more sovereign Dollarium. And then at minute 1 hour and 36 minutes at House of Reawakening Minds, he stated that more sovereign Dollarium is lawful for us. But when he first mentioned it, because the Moors were asking about it on the presentment, he stated that more sovereign Dollarium is far more valid and real than the Federal Reserve System ever was. So we thank our teacher, who actually, more sovereign Dollarium would not have come the way that it has come. It would not have manifested had it not been for our teachers, Grand Sheik Tarik Bey in particular. First, speaking the spell to wake us up, and secondly, to get the courts going, and that gold and silver and any paper with a gold clause in it is gold. So your affidavits are money too. They have gold clauses in them. Islam nobility.
Was that a recorded call on YouTube, or was that the live?
That was the live.
Doggone it! No wonder. Because I would have been on it.
Yeah.
But I can't get there live, obviously. But okay.
Yeah. They recorded that live this past Friday.
Oh, they did. So is that available?
Yeah, it is. The link is in the chat. I just put it in there. I'll put it in there again. There's the link.
Okay, thank you.
Islam. And we'll put that link under this video as well to direct as many to that as possible. Because again, anytime our teachers or anyone is talking about money or currency or gold or Coinage Act or law or the Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, anytime our teachers are talking about that, Dollarium comes up. Anytime the temples are talking about it, Dollarium comes up. Anytime anyone living is talking about money, thank you to this Congress, Dollarium comes up. And it's spoken of in the affirmative. See, I've even heard 1 or 2 in the past who didn't really even care for what we were stating. They couldn't even deny that more sovereign Dollarium is real money. Because think about this, bail bonds that people were signing were used as money because the signature was on it. So we've just created more sovereign Dollarium, this Congress, which this Congress has, I would use the term made history, but we've always had our own money. So it's a little bit even that even sounds a little bit like, yeah, we made history, but we've always had our own money. So more sovereign dollarium is not optional from any perspective, but from our perspective specifically, it's not optional. Because there are some Moors who don't have the fiat to get gold and silver, not realizing that they are the gold and silver. And their signatures, even the Moors that were the supposed enacted as poorest from the, yes, we are history, Empress Shasha. Yes, indeed. So why wouldn't we make history? Why wouldn't we repeatedly, over and over and over and over and over, with the courts, with the money, with the Congress, with the things that we put on the public record? It's in our blood. So even the Moors that had in the last enactment nothing, whenever they would take them into a jail, they said, you may not have silver and gold, but we want you to sign this paper right here. You may not even have fiat, but sign this paper and we'll let you go. Why? Because they knew who the money was. They knew who the money was. It was always our signature. So our signature on Moorish Sovereign Dollarium is no different. The only difference being we created this. We created it. That's the beauty of it. That's the real value, is our energy. Each Moor can print their own Moorish Sovereign Dollarium and tribute it out. So there you have it. And again, we're so grateful to our Grand Sheik Tarik Bey for all that he has done for the whole earth, really. Because Moorish Sovereign Dollarium is being tributed all over the earth. There are Moors at Japan and UK and Africa and Asia and just everywhere, the islands, South America, everywhere, Canaan land, everywhere, Jamaica, just everywhere, who have Dollarium right there with them. So with that being stated, regarding money, some things have happened over the last 2 or 3 days where enactments are concerned. Let's bring that up. Islam Empress.
Yeah, may I ask a question before you move into
Yes.
the next segue? It's about this segue. Yes. Since we've been collecting United States Post Office money orders. So now I know I can restate those money orders. I would imagine I can also restate the denomination of that money order also. Is that correct?
That is correct. You have the authority. You're the Postmaster General.
Islam. Thank you very much.
Islam. So if you had and correct me if I misspeak, Empress, if you have a $1 post office money order that you've saved, and let's say you want to first restate that and then restate a $20 one, you can use that same template to recreate a $20 money order or a $50 or a $100 or a $1,000 money order. Yes, you can do that because
Islam.
Did I state that properly, Empress?
Did she state that properly, Jim? Yes.
Yeah.
Islam.
Yes.
You.
Only the Postmaster General can do that.
Thank you very much.
Which is the two of you. Yes. So anything that has to do with money, period. And here's the thing: Moorish Sovereign Dollarium can work as money orders. They can be vouchers, housing vouchers. They can be money orders. They can be dollars. They can be currency. They can be checks. They can be whatever we state that they are. That's what they are. Okay. These same ones. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just use these same ones to do that. And then in the enactments, it is going to be very, very important.
It's going to be so funny when it
is going to be important as we move forward that as many as possible put some Dollarium in your inventory, please. For this very reason right here.
That's done.
Yes.
Believe me, that is done.
Yes, yes, indeed. You see what's happening here in the enactments. It says here in the enactment, Bank of America, Chase, and Wells Fargo crash, systems down, and direct deposits fail. So each time these enactments happen, and we'll put this link to this in the chat so that you all can read the enactment, the script, if you will. Those who had their who were expecting quote unquote direct deposits to come through, that didn't happen. They worked, their energy was given. So for those who were thinking that they were protected by that, Justice King L. asked in the chat, what type of paper are the Dollarium being printed on? Any natural fibers. So, for example, the fibers that we use for our Dollarium is called G Natural. You can get that on Amazon, or you can get it from Walmart. There's some cotton, and it's cotton and linen blend at Walmart that we use, and I think that's about $8.99 credits for that, for 100 sheets or something like that, and you can print up at least 3 Dollarium per sheet. So it's very within our realm in terms of the deprivation of credits. It's within our realm to create as much money as we want to create. Just a moment, Empress. She wanted me to.
So just one question. I'm thinking about an easier way to find a way to pull money, and so any company headquartered in the U.S., we can lien, and they would have to accept sovereign Dollarium, right? So if we leaned, for example, Western Union, which is headquartered in Denver, Colorado, they would have to accept Dollarium. And once they have to accept Dollarium, they're a money service company. So once they deposit that in your account, you can just pull that out from your account and send it to whoever receiver you want, or to your own account. So my question is, can we lien any company headquartered in the U.S. to accept Dollarium?
The Western Union and things of that nature?
Western Union, yeah, they're headquartered in the U.S., so they would have to accept Dollarium, and once they accept Dollarium, you can just deposit that. It's going to be credit on your account there, and then you could just send it to whoever you want or to your own account.
Or you can be Western Union and email the Dollarium to them. Download the Dollarium, sign it, autograph it, scan it back in, and send it to them electronically directly. But yes, Western Union must be leaned by those who use that medium. It must be. They have to be leaned, levied, and bonded. Because see, they were doing their enactments without bonding, and that was the issue. They couldn't be bonded.
They answer your cell phone, and then people might believe you. Might believe you.
They were not bonded, but you can't bond the fakery and the fraud, the debt, the fakery, and the fraud. So that was the issue that they had, including these that are here, Bank of America, Chase, and Wells Fargo, all operating without bonds in their enactment. So they had to be leaned and levied and bonded. And so that's where we are now with all companies and all services. We're leaning, levying, and bonding everything.
Islam. So literally, we are burying the dead corpses and then bringing back to life on the land.
Yes.
The natural resources of whatever that company's service or product was, but is now on the land under our jurisdiction.
Yes, yes, yes. And this way we don't have to worry about asking them for their bonds because we're giving them their bonds. Now, the Empress was asking about some of the paper. This is some of the paper that we use. This is some of the paper that we use. And then also G Natural is some of the paper that we use as well for printing out Dollarium. And I have found that the ivory paper, which is made of parchment or it's either made of linen and cotton blend, does best with Dollarium. Okay. So with that being stated,
Islam again?
Islam Empress. Empress, sorry. I'm looking at the name, the appellations here about to boot somebody out. That's why I got confused. Go ahead, nobility.
I take no offense. All right, so speaking of that, print out the Dollarium. You think at some point, right now it's not an absolute necessity, but or needed, I should say. But do you think at some point we will have a standardized, maybe company or vendor that will be able to print those up for us, so that we have a standard size instead of us individually cutting them up and spacing them out? You know what I'm saying? So that the money itself is literally standard size, weight, and construction stock, etc.
Right. So ours is already standardized. The standard is 6 by 3, which is 9. It's 6 inches by 3 inches. That's what Dollarium is. That's the standard size. That's the size it should be.
You know why I'm saying that? Because when we cut individually, if we don't have a machine, okay, when I look at like the money, because I have a specific cutter, get to those exact specifications to the millis, whatever you call it, the tiny milliliter or whatever you call it. Some of them are a little bit closer, some a little bit longer, a little bit taller.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
So we don't have that problem though, and with just a little bit of ingenuity, you won't have that problem either. Just because you will make them 6 inches by 3 inches every time. We don't have that problem because they're 6 inches by 3 inches, all of them. So it's a stack of money, just like a stack of money should look.
It was just
6 inches. We just get a ruler. Just get a ruler, and say this is 6 inches. This is 3 inches. This is what they should be every time, and then you consistently print them that way every time.
Right. Okay.
Those kinds of issues are a part of what the Biblios talks about being on one accord. When we're on one accord, I can bring my Dollarium and you can bring your Dollarium, and it's going to look like one person printed all of them, because they're going to be 6 inches by 3 inches every single time. And if they're not, we reprint them. Now, trust and know we've gone through some supplies and some ink and some paper and all of that. But you know what? The ancestors were faithful to make sure we had plenty to do it. When ink was supposed to have run out, when the machine was not registering ink was still coming out of my machine. Because when we're doing this work, there is no end to, and then if it did run out, the ancestors made sure we had more coming. So it is incumbent upon us to ensure, because think about what the modern ones, the modern Europeans went through to try and overcome what everyone knew about us. Think about what all they went through and what all they did, and how things may not have looked like they were going to be able to do it initially, but they went ahead, they just kept going. They just kept going until they had the whole world fooled that they were the Moors and we were not. They just kept going. Let me tell you, if we can afford pizza and we can afford hair and nails and we can afford all of that stuff that we used to buy back in the day, and I still buy pizza, but I make my own now, which tastes better. And I'm not opposed to buying pizza, but that's because this works. I have a cutting machine now. But before, when I first started making Dollarium, I didn't even know I needed a cutting machine until I kept cutting with scissors and kept cutting with scissors. And then something said, you might need a cutting machine. So I got one of those cutting boards that cuts paper and cuts fabric.
Islam, Empress.
Islam.
I suggested making or buying a cutting jig, and if you have like a cardboard piece, like a cardboard box, you can actually make a little cutting jig. It's basically like making a pattern.
Yes.
For your money and just cut around it so they're all the same size.
Yes. And then practice it enough, because see, right now I could print up some Dollarium and it'll automatically be 6 by 3, because I know how to do it on my computer, where when I go on my computer to make Dollarium, for example, what I do is, just a moment, well, I won't show it here right now, but I just go up, well, I can show it here. I go up to page setup, and it's not going to show now. I don't know how my daughter did this, but when I go to page setup, I just make it so that the right and the left and the top and the bottom margins are as small as they can be. As small as they can be, so that's usually 0.166. When you make your margins that small, then it's going to move everything all the way over to the left on the front and all the way over to the right on the back. And then I put the front, I put 3 Dollarium on that first page, and on the second page I put the back, but I move it over to the far left, so that when they print, it'll print front and back, and it has them both lined up together. Will it always be perfect? It won't always be like exactly perfect, but it will be as perfect as it needs to be. There are, when I was watching how the modern ones were enacting printing money, I saw they had double prints going into circulation, all types of mistakes. And these days, not these days, but in the last era, in the last era, whenever they made mistakes and you got a quarter with 2 dates on them, like they double printed them, those are worth more than the regular ones, than the regular print. So with that being stated, those systems, now someone said that it may not be necessary to have Dollarium right now. We disagree with that. It is 1,000,000% necessary to have Dollarium right now, yesterday. Necessary for this very reason right here. And then with having Dollarium, doing the lien, levy, and bonding, and the 1099-C and the 1099-A for the grocery stores and things of that nature. Let me show you why also that's important. That outage, the crashing of the banking enactment, when I read the story about that, they were telling the customers that they didn't have to do anything, they didn't have to file any claim, they didn't have to do anything, that the crash would be fixed. Well, that's how private corpses or corporations work. They say, don't worry about it, we'll fix it, we'll handle it. Don't worry about it, we'll handle it. And then they go about using the names of the customers privately to do whatever. So what they're doing, hear me when I say this, Morris, they're doing exactly what we told them to do. We said, when we start talking, y'all be quiet. And you'll read it in the story. They told everybody who, in the enactment, who didn't get a direct deposit, who didn't get anything, nothing came in, no resources came in for them in that enactment. They told them, shh, be quiet about it. Shh. Don't say a word. Don't file a claim. Don't call us. Don't worry about it. Well, who's been filing the claims in the proper court, which is our court? Who's been filing the claims? A lien is a claim. A levy is possession. So more, the things that this Congress has stated on the public record is manifested. Where banking and all of that is concerned, is manifested. Our job, our responsibility, our obligation, our opportunity is to just continue doing what we're doing. They told everybody, whether they got something or not, just be quiet. But that's because the real heirs are speaking. That's why gold, silver, more sovereign Dollarium, writs, liens, levies, bonds, all of that. And the more we speak with these processes and our own money and our courts and this Congress, the more we speak, wisdom has no adversary. Wisdom has no adversary at all. Islam.
There was a video circulating on social media as well of a troglodyte man went to a what we know as a Chase bank, and he wanted to deposit money, and the teller said, "We're not accepting money." He was like, "What do you mean?" He was going bonkers. "What do you mean? You don't accept money? This is a bank. You don't." And I'm saying to myself, wow, because the tellers are the last to know. but they're the first to tell the public.
Yes.
They're the teller to tell the public, but they're the last to know, but the first to tell the public.
Yes.
So that means and you stated this earlier about J.P. Morgan Chase and what that really means, but they're one of the oldest, institutions around.
Well, they were one of the first ones to restate the name J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan was us at first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It still is. It still is. Let's put that on the record.
Yeah.
We were always J.P. Morgan. We were always Bank for America. We were always Wells Fargo. All of that. All they did was rewrite it on a piece of paper, and at that time, nobody rebutted their paper.
Right.
With a lien and a levy and a bond.
Right. Those parts.
Yeah. So with regard to these things, they're showing here on this map. They, this was with the story. They said an automated clearinghouse is a computer-based electronic network for processing transactions, and they were showing where it all happened. Now, I'm bringing this forward because it looked like only on one side, besides Phoenix, and I'm not sure if they're even highlighting Phoenix here, it looks like they might be, where these down issues were reported. Okay, I'm bringing this forward for a reason, because we think a lot of times that, let's say, banks enacting going down is unrelated to other things in the news, but look just for a moment. I just want us to think about this for a moment. You see this map where they're saying all the down was happening on the East Coast and in the Midwest, okay? But look at this map right here. This map right here is a map of all places called Palestine in the United States. The map of the downage and this right here is saying the same thing. All of the cities called Palestine are right in those same places where the supposed network went down. What are we saying? We're stating that the enacted war is being enacted here. And when I say here, I don't mean here because we're not at war. But just be aware. And the reason I say be aware is so that we always state for the record that we are at peace and we're not at war. Because, see, what they're doing is they're telling all of the people from the last era, the persons from the last era, to look over there. Look at Ukraine. Look at Israel. Look over there. Because of what we're doing over here. The same way they were telling all of us, hey, blacks, look at Africa. It's apartheid. Look how bad they're treating them over there. And look how bad they treat them in China. They had everybody looking over there while things was happening over here. So now it's the opposite. They got things happening over there, and they're telling certain ones to look over there while we're doing what we're doing over here, where banking and all of that is concerned. Okay? Because they know where the real promised land and the real Jerusalem is. Okay? And for those who want to look on a map and say, okay, all the places named Palestine, this page will map that out. And then you can do that for wherever you are. I did it for over here, and I just said, all the places called Federal Way at Earth, really. And there was only one, and it's here. But again, we know the names have been changed to all the places, just about all of them anyway. So with that being stated, there's more. It says here, this is a separate issue here, more Wells Fargo and Bank of America branches to close in coming days. You know, they gave a list of the offices here. Multiple U.S. banks warn deposits may be temporarily delayed. Well, how many times is that going to be enacted? How many times is that going to be enacted? But see, we've stated that this was going to happen, and more thanks to this Congress and this judiciary. We're prepared. We can email money back and forth to each other if we needs be. We can take it out of our trust if needs be. We have gold and silver in our treasury. We all have gold and silver in our treasury. We have the tracking number where we sent the gold to the treasury. And that's only going to increase over the next days, weeks, and months. We have people coming, and let me tell you, with the plans that the ancestors have given us, there won't be anyone who doesn't have the need to put gold and silver on the table where property and all of that is concerned. There will not be a single person at Earth in the coming days and weeks and months. So when we're issuing bonds even about property, the bonds are coming from the United States, which is the original indigenous ancient states united. The bonds are going to be coming, a lien, levy, and a bond. Let's just say, for example, you were a sleeping mower, and you and your beautiful husband worked really hard at the post office and at the grocery store. One of you worked at the post office, one worked at the grocery store. Y'all worked, you put your energy together, you bought a domicile. And then you get something in the mail from the United States, along with from the state and the city, rebonding your domicile. And you're thinking, so the city and the United States Treasury have done something with regard to our house, and I don't know what it is. You're going to start asking questions. You're going to want to know, what is this about, and who do we talk to about it, because what does it mean? And the first thing people will do is get on the computer and start Googling some things. But there's also going to be a Moorish National Republic federal government affidavit with that documentation. Signed by a judge with letterhead from the tax assessor in the county.
No conveyance and no cell service is proof your shit don't.
With us. Oh, we know they don't want us to get to that part, but we're there already. See, the domiciles, all the domiciles around you, all, in order for them to be properly inhabited, they have to be bound to us, to the land. And we have to do it. Is that war? No, it is not. It's peace.
Some people ain't.
So we're going to show how to do that over the next days and weeks as well. And we already started showing the lien, levy, and bonding process. Islam.
Just a thought on that, and I'm sure you all in your think tank behind the scenes, as you all are working together, probably came to the same conclusion. So that I don't have to, or we don't have to do each individual house individually, because there's millions of houses here.
Yes, we know.
It would be wise to simply just get the meets and bounds for the land in the county and lean up everything under the meets and bounds, tie that in, you've got everything covered. That includes all the commercial properties, all of the residential properties, and then we state that in the affidavit. Because I know I'm always about working smart, not hard. And all of this paperwork is a lot, and I don't plan on adding a whole bunch more to it. So we got to streamline it. So literally, my thought is I'm going to take, which I'm already in the process of doing it anyway. I've already done Orange. I'm already in the process of doing Orange County, where I'm located. So I'm going to do the restatement of the allodial land title to Orange County, okay? And it's going to have everything. And when I bond, I'm going to cross-reference that. So everything in the county is bounded up and bound to the land, and I am the fiduciary. We are the fiduciaries for it. There you go, Islam.
So, nobility, you are a sovereign. No one can tell you what to do. No one can tell you what to do. That's the beauty of this. And you can do it exactly the way you just stated. And it's not wrong. It's right. Very right. Very correct. Let me say this in addition to that. When we put the constitutions on the public record, we put the metes and bounds for the whole state on the public record. We did all the states, and we did the metes and bounds for all of them. What would be the advantage or the purpose of me now looking at a map of, let's say, where I am, this neighborhood, looking on the geological, the GIS tax assessor map at how much each one paid for the domicile, supposedly, and it's not even how much they pay because nobody's paid theirs off, quote unquote, because they can't, because taxes. Looking at the market value and then doing a lien on all the addresses that are just within this block, let's say. Because remember, first and foremost, there's really no true price discovery on any of these domiciles. If they paid fiat for them, then guess what? We're the only ones who paid real money for our domicile, because we've done that on the public record. We've done the bonds and the lien, the levy, the exchange for this domicile on the public record. So this is the only one out here that's been actually paid for. So now what would be the point of doing that for every domicile here? They have to be brought onto the land. All law is specific. The taking back of the land is going to be according to what is stated, what we state. I don't want any of these houses floating away. I want them to stay right where they are. And those who receive the lien, the levy, and the bond all around, they have a choice to make. The choice is proper status, or you're sitting in abandonment. You're squatting. Proper status, or you're squatting at that address. Well, we recently did firearms. Hear me first. Don't jump to conclusions about it. Hear me first. We recently did firearms licenses for us, and we stated this before. Our firearm is our pen at the end of our arm. This is called a firearm. Why? Because we can send a fire and sword letter with the firearm. And that's why we feel we did our license. Let's look at what that looks like again. Let's look that up really quickly. This is why we issued ourselves a firearm license. This is why. Let's show you on the screen. Just a moment. Because we will at some point be sending out fire and sword letters. And again, in the Biblios, it says that in the last days that the earth will not be destroyed by water ever again, but that it will go through a period of fire. And we've been seeing that in this dimension in anticipation of what's coming. Fire and sword letters addressed to the sheriff of the county, authorizing him to call for assistance of the county to dispossess a tenant retaining possession contrary to the order of a judge or the sentence of a court. So we will be doing fire and sword letters with regard to the properties. We saw a very powerful empress do something similar to this. She didn't do fire and sword letters, but she leaned a whole neighborhood. And we want to give honor to Empress Ninti El Bey for her great demonstration where liens are concerned. She leaned in the entire neighborhood, and everybody in the neighborhood acknowledged that, yes, it's a real lien on the properties. The only issue was that because the liens were done using their system, they were able to lift them off because it was their system. On one lien, we can put address after address after address after address after address on one lien. And that's what we intend to do, is we'll just take it block by block, because they will float away if we don't do that.
Islam,
Empress.
I recall you doing a similar lien, like leaning all the property in the state during the time you found that foreigners were coming here and being given the title of governor.
Yes.
And you leaned, like, I guess all the land grants or something in your state.
We leaned all the land patents. And that lien, thank you for bringing that up, Empress, because, again, it supports that all law is specific. That lien was 100 and something pages, I think. I'll have to go back and look at it. And then King County Superior Court stamp is on that. Thurston County Superior Court stamp. Pierce County Superior Court stamp is on it. And Snohomish County Superior Court stamp. And we did the stamping on that land patent. But it was address after address, or not address, but patent number after patent number by name of that land at King County. It was, I think, over 1,000 land patents that were listed there. It might have even been more than that. I'll have to go back and look at it. I know it was quite extensive when I showed it. It was 100 and something pages, page after page after page of land patents that we leaned and restated. And so that takes care of that level of governing. Now we're at the commercial level. See, the land patents were at the quote unquote government or not government, governor, state of Washington level. And now we're at the commercial level where tax assessors and things of that nature are concerned, because there's some commerce that took place there. To file land patents, the oldest land patents were filed using gold and silver coin. So how is it that anybody can even claim a land patent that hasn't paid gold and silver coinage? And no one was accepting gold and silver coinage for land patents until we did it. And now we're doing that. So we can even grant land patents to others when they pay the gold and silver coinage according to whatever this Congress says, and then we restate the land patent. And again, Moors are those who've been here the longest get that process done for them first and foremost. And then others get deeds. They'll get a deed. But again, a deed is subject to taxation, and it's also subject to our authority. Just like all the deeds that were enacted last era is what has been removed and done away with. And so we're going to lien, levy, and bond all the property around here. We have to. Islam.
So you had stated that the patent is at the governor's level, right? And then allodial land title.
Actually, the patents, when we look back at the land patents, the ones that were doing business as president was signing them. But it was the county that was issuing the patents, and then they would sign for the whoever that was doing business as president of the United States Corporation Company.
So what I'm trying to get at is the allodial land title is sovereign superior above the patent.
Yeah.
And then the deed is like the last thing. So the patent would be granted or even desired by, it seems like, somebody from another territory who was a Moor?
It would be, it's going to be the companies that are exploring things like digging for gold and silver and, water rights and things of that nature. So when you natural resources, that's why the patents were so important.
Okay, so patents were only for like resources. Allodial land title is for people who are actually there and that's their land. So if let's say I had 5,000 acres, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to, I was digging for oil. Mm-hmm. And then I found that there was an oil that started on my land, but it went to my neighbor's land. I would have to file a land patent, then this is just me thinking, to then dig for the oil, and then I'd have to let my neighbor know that, look, the oil starts here on my land, but it goes through your land. I filed the patent, and this, that, and the third, the process, so you could cover your assets, as it were. In that regard, is that how it would work?
It would work like that. The land patent is the foundation for mineral rights to be claimed. You know how some places they say you can buy the house and you can buy the house, but you don't have mineral rights?
Mm.
The land patent brings that together.
But doesn't
So, but for us, because we're the indigenous people, wouldn't the allodial land title already be like a quote, like, I don't want to say grandfather in, but wouldn't it be the same as having the patent, allodial land title? Wouldn't it be? Because when we do allodial land title, we do air, we do ether, we do above and below.
So the difference being is one is lawful and the other is legal. One is legislative and the other is eternal.
All right.
The allodial land title, only we can do that. That is never to be legislated. It doesn't have to be legislated because we're all the heirs to the land.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to state that because that's the foundation for then land patents and then deeds and titles and all of that other stuff. All that other commerce is situated or foundationed or moored to the allodial land title.
Okay, it's making more sense because when they found the definition of a patent, patent means public. You create something in writing, and it's public for public scrutiny. So that would be the same as a land patent. It's, you stating that there's minerals here, and you're stating it's on the land, and you're publishing it for the public to see.
Yes. So when you put a land patent on the public record, like what we've done, we have 1.6 million acres that we just put on the record, just to do the demonstration, aside from the fact that it's a proper claim. But what we did was, at this point now, when we looked at the land that we patented, it's got natural resources, gold, silver, and all that. We have the geological surveys that we've verbally restated on the public record, and we see what minerals and wealth is here. So now that we see that, we can begin more who want to do land claims, who have companies that bring up wealth, that harvest wealth, that process gold and silver and things of that nature. They can then forward their paperwork for their company and say, we want to start processing this part of the land, this dirt. We first want to have a gold claim. Because, when companies get ready to dig for gold, they have to have a claim on the record first. And once they have that claim on the record, whatever claim they have on the record that has been approved by the landowner, then they can come and bring their instruments and their equipment and dig for gold and process gold, and whoever it is that owns the land gets a certain amount of that claim. Okay.
Because I'm sitting here and I'm going, wait, hold on to God, because there's only been in that corporate system deeds, and those deeds, and we see these big, huge conglomerate corporations like Pepsi and, Johnson & Johnson and Cisco and and they've been using natural resources to create products and services, all only using a deed. They've gone for patents. They enacted
patents and land claims and claims. But see, they did that in collusion with other companies such as Newmont and what's some of the other gold digging companies? Newmont. There's one that starts with a B. But look up Newmont and some of the other gold companies situated in Arizona territory and near the Grand Canyon, those companies. Even the cell phone and computer companies, Apple, Microsoft, and so on and so forth, they had contracts on the back end that they didn't tell the public about, but they contracted for gold and silver parts to put into the cell phones and the computers. And that part was a part of their price for for the product. But they had patents. So the companies who dig for that, they enacted patents from cities, states, and counties, and even federal patents, and even international patents. They call them multinational companies, or for that reason. Barrick Gold, that's the one I was thinking of that starts with a B, Barrick. Newmont and Barrick and others. Thank you, Justice Cowell. Yes.
So essentially those big, huge conglomerate companies would go and they would go to the person who was so-called patent licensed, I would just state it that way, who had the patent, which would then issue a license, essentially, because not everyone can get a patent if they, is that right? Not everyone can get.
They always went through the BLM, Bureau for Land Management. In most cases, they went through that corporation.
if you're not gonna be, if you think you're gonna go to sleep, then yeah.
Hold on for just a moment. Just a moment. There's a couple of people that are unmuted. Hold on a second.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
Okay. And so there are companies such as the Bureau of Land Management Corporation. There's also just a moment, somebody's just come in as Light Taj, and that is so an imposter. And so there have been companies that have done things, you know, BLM, Bureau for Land Management, also the any other companies, for example, Amazon and Microsoft and all of them, they were even pretending to claim some land and do things of that nature. You know, working together with other corporations, some pretending to be government and things of that nature. You know, so that's where land patents were coming from. In other words, they were coming from just about everywhere. And Barrick Gold and Newmont would find out who it is that has the land patent and who enacted the land patent, and they would just get with them and say, okay, well, we have the land patents to pull this gold up. If you want us to do the same on that land, we'll do it on that land. So the corporations work together in their enactment to claim the land and to do things of that nature.
Okay, Islam, may I?
Islam.
So the whole previous era and all of their land patents are all based on the heirs not speaking up as the true landowners, period. Because the president and the office of the president, is the one that granted, on paper, all land patents came through the president's office. And again, because that was a corporation construct, a funny mirror, and he was using basically or feeding off of our title of nobility as the real landowners because we had not organized, come together, and was speaking on our land. We were under occupation. So in our absence, all titles or our land patents were being issued. So now that we have stood up, okay, then our restating of the Land Patent Office, leaning the Land Patent Office, negates all that they did in the funny mirror, period. So when we look at a particular property, we have the ability to issue the allodial title and to issue them a deed to be on our land.
Who is them?
Okay, any of the subjects in their proper status.
Islam.
All right, that's who I'm talking about. I ain't talking about no corporation fiction or no corporation company, because none of them exist once we lean them out of business and get rid of the corporation veil. So now that the corporation veil has been removed from the United States mother, all of its children, subsidiaries, heirs, and/or assigns are dissolved. They don't have any land titles, no rights to the land, no rights to any of the resources of the land, and all the charges they have been charging us for using our resources must go away. Must go away.
They automatically go away because we don't even use that kind of species.
Exactly. We don't use that species. Okay? So what I'm looking at is when, for those people, say, in your immediate neighborhood, and you lean up that whole neighborhood, got 50 or 60 houses, okay? When you remove the false construct that they were under, the illusion, okay, who are they paying taxes to? What taxes? Unless it's coming to the real landlord, which is us, our government. There ain't no taxes. So we would have to levy for them to stay on our land, and for them to pay to be there. We would have to do that.
Okay, so let me just say this about them. Every domicile around here is actually enacted as being abandoned.
Correct.
We're just claiming them.
Correct. And so for them to stay here on the land, they got to get back into proper status, right? And it's up to us to decide how we're going to administrate, governing, say, your stay on the land. Are you going to stay here for free and pay for nothing? Or are the subjects going to have to continue to work to keep commerce going and pay something to the real landlord in gold, silver, or energy?
So let me say this about the subjects, Noble Phoenix, because I kind of hear a little something in the energy that wants to.
No, I'm not trying to get back at nobody. I'm not upset with nobody.
All right. As long as, then I misinterpreted that.
No,
because the subjects are not to be leaned on for resources because they don't have any.
Correct.
But let me say this about the way the ancestors are starting to expand how we continue to state the land, because it's already ours. We're just stating it. They have said that when we issue the lien and the levy and the bond on the land, that we send the market value in more sovereign dollarium with each bond that we send to each place, each domicile, that we send that amount of more sovereign dollarium. Let's say, for example, if the market value of the domicile is $350,000, that we send $350,000 in more sovereign dollarium that they can deposit at a bank.
Okay.
So when they deposit the 300, so when they're going to go to the bank and say, the city of Federal Way gave me this 350,000 in vouchers, or they can call it whatever they want to call it. We don't care. They call it. Yes. They're going to say the city of Federal Way in connection with King County in the United States gave me this for my domicile. I'm going to deposit this, and when they deposit that in to the bank, and the bank will accept it because they're going to get so many from the people, because it's the people who determine banking. And so when they go, and it doesn't matter their nationality, because the acceptance of it, when it comes to that address, it's already, that address is already properly claimed. It's already been claimed by the land patent and by the title that we all have to all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. But now we're being specific and saying this domicile belongs to the United States, the States United. And if whoever it is that is there, if you're going to stay there, you must be in your proper status. We have restated you, because we're going to look and see, okay, Barbara Jones is at this, this is what the tax assessor thing is saying. Right. Barbara Jones and this domicile is $350,000. Okay, we're going to address Barbara Jones, but she's going to be restated as subject Barbara Jones and not corpus Barbara Jones. We're raising her from the dead. And so sending her Dollarium gold receipts that she can deposit at Wells Fargo, JP Morgan. She can deposit them wherever she wants to deposit, wherever she bank at, she can deposit them there. When she does, everything switches for her. Everything changes for her. Her domicile, she doesn't owe any more on her domicile because she wasn't going to ever own it anyway.
Right.
It belongs to the state. Not only that, she's no longer under a court status that says that if she doesn't pay, she's going to be evicted.
Evicted, correct.
So that means that even sleeping Moors are going to get relief until they figure out that, wait a minute, what is this paper here? And this looks like indigenous. They're saying they're indigenous. Let me see who this is. So and then they're going to see their own face.
So in essence, what we're looking at is we are involved with liberating the land.
Yes.
Literally, what we're also doing at the same time is we're creating a jubilee.
Yes. How else was it going to happen?
Ain't that
How else was it going to happen?
Ain't that interesting? So they're not going to have to pay taxes because the tax assessor's office is us.
Well, wait a minute. When they go to buy stamps, they'll pay gold and silver for stamps. That's the tax. When they go to the grocery store using gold and silver, because all subjects will use gold and silver for everything they do.
And Dollarium.
No, not Dollarium. Not Dollarium. No. I thought about that. I thought about it. And someone asked, can subjects use that process? The answer is the subjects can use the gold and silver that they've been harboring all this time because they kept it.
So the Dollarium that we send them, they have to deposit, but they can't make a withdrawal in cash.
They can make a withdrawal in gold and silver coinage.
In gold and
Banks
silver.
will have the gold, and we can too at any time.
Now here's the next part of the question.
Mm-hmm.
The Treasury is in the process right now of rolling out Treasury notes based off of gold and silver and so forth, is my understanding.
When you say Treasury, who are you speaking of?
I'm talking about our Treasury.
Of course.
They're talking about rolling out United States notes, but it's going to be based off of gold and silver, which is in the background our more sovereign Dollarium that we already put on the record. I understand that.
Yeah.
But when they roll out the new currency, that's what the subjects are pulling out when we send them 300, like in that example, 350,000 in Dollarium.
Remember, we said they had to get it from us.
Right. And so now that they got it from us, when they deposit that and make a withdrawal, they have to withdraw United States notes based off of the gold that we gave with the Dollarium and what we put on the record. So that's really our gold-backed currency that's being withdrawn, even if it doesn't look like our Dollarium, because that's really for the heirs.
Yeah.
But they'll still have United States notes. Am I on point with that?
Almost. Let me clarify.
I didn't mean notes. I meant United States, because they're not debt obligations.
It's going to be Dollarium. It's going to be Dollarium that banks and all. It's going to be Dollarium that the banks, and we're going to be printing that for them too. To your question earlier, we're going to be printing that for them too. We're the only ones who can.
Yes.
So when the subjects go to pull out whatever they're going to pull out, they'll be pulling out either Dollarium or gold and silver, and most likely it's going to be gold and silver coinage that any of us can pull out.
March is going to be the fucking funniest month ever because you're all going to get fucking rejected.
Hater. Anyway. Yeah, so gold and silver and more sovereign Dollarium, and the reason for more sovereign Dollarium is multiple.
Mammy doesn't have her excuses ready. This shit's not.
Or it's multifold. When they go to the bank to do whatever they're going to do, for example, those who receive more sovereign Dollarium where the domiciles are concerned, that'll just be. And we're thinking it through and wanting to do what's best for everyone. When the World Economic Forum put that thing out saying you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, the reason they'll be happy is because they won't be under any obligation or fear regarding being put out of any place. Okay, and that goes for Moors who are still asleep too. Okay, because the United States will have come in and done what is necessary. So when we send out the Dollarium, they can take the Dollarium to any bank and deposit or cash it, or we can let them know that we paid off anything that was due on the domicile was paid in more sovereign Dollarium, gold and silver, and that they are to show that letter of credit that we issue to whoever it is that's claiming they owe something on the domicile. So we can send them Dollarium for them to deposit, or and that actually I prefer that more than anything else. Or we can send a letter of credit stating that the price of the domicile is in this letter of credit, and all they have to do with the letter of credit is take it to the bank, and the bank and the mortgage company will settle up.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. That
Yeah.
makes a lot.
However we choose to do it. I'm a strong advocate of Dollarium because they were such strong advocates of fiat.
By the way, that also gives me the final tiny nuance that I was looking for in terms of how, when I do an acquisition, when I do it with a private owner, okay, just regular little man or woman, what that might look like and how that transaction should go. When I send that Dollarium, okay, with that letter of credit, literally, that's the end of the matter. His mortgage is paid for, everything.
Yes. And the bank and the mortgage company, which is really us, have settled up.
And all he has to do is use that at closing, and that transaction is complete. Because I've already done it on the public record. Now he has a deposit, bank mortgage, whatever was there is removed, and
the letter of credit.
Yes, with the letter of credit. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. Islam. So letters of credit with Dollarium, which is, again, we're still talking affidavits and sending documentation the same way we've been saying. What if they use the credit instead of paying off the domicile? The letter of credit will be used to take care of the payment of the domicile. If they deposit the Dollarium, we can state in the letter of credit what the Dollarium is for. Now, if they choose not to pay it off, either way, they still don't own it. Okay, they can take the Dollarium and deposit it in their own account and go find someplace else to live. There are some who are not.
She's already got her excuses.
There are some who are not. There are some who are not going to want to be under the authority of what we're doing because they don't want to change their status. They don't want to be under the Moors. Those that don't want to do that, they'll have to vacate the premises because they're squatting. So I see something. Someone has inboxed me something about. They are listening to me. The Dollarium now is. They're saying that the $100 bill has the Liberty Bell on them, backed by gold and silver. The Liberty Bell is the Fed's inside out. They are listening. Let me just say this about that nobility who inboxed me that. Nothing they produce is backed by gold. Nothing. I don't care what they say because they were pretending, they were enacting trading in gold on the stock market. It was all paper, phony paper. Phony paper. They can't produce anything backed by gold. They're fake. They're fakes. They don't have access to any gold. What gold can they point to and say, this is our gold that we produced? How did they produce it? When? Gold has been in existence since before they were. Doesn't make sense. They can't.
Islam. That goes back to what you were saying about the thing that spoke about the red, and the violet all the way at the bottom. The 666 is like you said, that's commerce, and that was the blue. So we control everything in the entire spectrum, from red all the way down to blue and everything in between, silver and gold, and titanium and copper and everything else. It's all of us. So what were they thinking that it was backed by anything other than a promise to pay?
And IOU?
That part too. And that's it. That's all that they was ever, able to do is say I owe you and a promise to pay you too. Because that was depending on a Moor giving them the resource. And they put us dead on paper anyway, so shoot.
They put their corpses that they created dead on paper. We've always been alive. And that's why our paper is so important, is because we make ourselves alive. We recognize our own life on the paper.
Yes, correction.
And that's you demonstrate that all the time.
Islam.
Our life on paper. So
yes, indeed.
Go ahead, Empress. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that yes, that the fact that they put that emblem or whatever on the $100 bill, not many people have seen that because they can't usually get that currency in that fiat in circulation. That's why the Prophet put the pyramid on the dollar, because he said everybody couldn't reach that. Everyone has a dollar in their pocket. Yeah. And not everybody has, a fictitious fiat 100 in their pocket. Yeah. So that just means nothing. And that just shows the out of reachness and out of touchness that enactment is of putting it on the 100. It's fake. It's further out of, it's just in La La Land. Doesn't exist.
Well, they call it a dollar bill instead of a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bill. It's something due.
Mm-hmm.
It's debt. Why didn't they just call it a dollar if it was $100 instead of a $100 bill or a Federal Reserve note? Because it has no value. Empress Camille, you asked a question in the chat. So in depositing the Dollarium, is this an implied admission of their willingness to their status to be changed to subjects? They're not being changed to subjects. They've always been subjects. But yes, the answer to the question is yes. That acceptance of the mail, not just if they put it in the bank, but acceptance and opening the mail, or pulling it out of the mailbox, or the mail going to that mailbox is accepted. Per the mailing law and the posting rule. The mailbox rule and the posting rule that we elevated to law. It says when we send it, it's the law. And really when we create it, when we think it, when we say it, it's the law. That's why we have to be careful what we say.
Islam.
Because it's the law immediately. Islam, Empress.
I want you to touch back on the postage and the government postage process, and I think it was last congressional or the one before where the topic did come up and the question was asked, can the subjects use it? And I recall even answering, well, there has to be something because otherwise it's fiat.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Empress. The subjects can use gold and silver, not our process, because the government uses the government mailing process. The subjects use gold and silver.
Right, and you touched on it when you were speaking with Phoenix, and it brought me back to that whole thing, because even though it's like, okay, it can't be fiat. But
no, it can't be fiat.
Even I felt like now that there's got to be a differentiation between the two there. We're government, they're subjects.
Yes.
And then I also was thinking in terms of where it's commerce. So
yes.
they have to pay.
Yes.
But it has to be lawful. And so you just mentioned with Phoenix, so I just wanted you to bring that further out into the open, because I just think that that's the perfect way to handle that, and the only way.
Yes, it makes sense. The more I thought about it, and I was thinking, the ancestors, because we know we're the government. Subjects are not the government. They're subjects. We're the government. And then there are certain subjects who have a role to represent the rest of the subjects, such as the subject that's here. She represents, from our perspective, she represents all the rest of the subjects until they come.
Right.
And so the ones who don't have gold and silver will have to get gold and silver the same way we didn't have fiat, we had to get it out there. We had to get up on that treadmill and start running. But see, for the subjects, they don't necessarily have to get up on the treadmill and start running. They can get gold and silver They can even pan for gold and silver.
Yes. Yes.
So where there's a will, there's a way. In the same way that where there was a will, there was a way last era for us.
For us, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
And that's not a tit for tat. That's actually fact and truth.
It's law.
Yes.
It's law. We cannot.
The law.
Oil and water do not mix.
The law says gold and silver.
Yeah.
And then only the government can create any type of documentation with a gold clause in it makes it money. The same way the corporations were doing last era.
Exactly.
The corporations were pretending to govern last era. Remember that.
Exactly. It was an act. It was acting.
So subjects use gold and silver, and subjects, where there's a will, let me tell you, when subjects have the right energy and they're not at war, because we have to have it too. We're not at war.
Yeah, right.
When they have it, the ancestors will they will show you how to get the gold and silver, just like they're showing us how to do it. We're literally living what we're telling you.
Yeah, we're living the word. We're speaking it, being it, living it, breathing it. Yeah.
We did not know what ways we were going to come about the species. We didn't know how we was going to do this. We didn't know how we was going to do it. But the ancestors showed us. Okay, they said everybody has to be properly documented, so start with a documentation process and say gold and silver. And guess what? The subjects, even between them, they have gold and silver among them that they can share with each other and help each other, just like we're helping each other. The ancestors gave us Dollarium to print for the government. We shared it with everyone else freely.
Yeah.
Because this is how life is done. This is how it works, is we all help each other. Wherever we are, we meet each other right there.
We do, yeah.
Islam. Also, because we are the government, we are the indigenous people, we were born worth our weight in gold. And everything about us has a value for gold. So that's why we can create anything, and then it's tied to the gold at every single institution, bank, treasury, resource vein, you know, in the earth above and below, at any point, and any turn, and any whatever you desire. So that's why we, the indigenous people, don't have to worry about, you know, not having, because we are that we desire. We're the gold. And so the subjects, exactly, and the subjects, like you said, when they have to do what we enacted doing in the past era and get on the treadmill, that kind of made me chuckle. But
well, I was talking about the last era. They don't have to get on the treadmill. This era, all they have to do is have a pure heart, and it will come. We know that firsthand.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and so, and then when they're honorable, you know, all they got to do is ask, and they shall receive, because that is what a loan is. When you look up the definition of a loan in the Black's Law Dictionary, it's a gift.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be repaid.
Yes. And the thing is, that's what Christianity is dependence on God to give you whatever it is, and to that you ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
We've already been issuing Dollarium to subjects that were stamped and sealed that they can use and pass and keep and hold, but they, as long as they got it from us, it's good. They can do that if it's from us, they get it from us. The same way we was getting it from someplace else last era with black signatures on it. You know. So, but they can either use Dollarium that they got from us or gold and silver. But for things like stamps and groceries and all that stuff, gold and silver. And then we are actually making the way for that to happen by standing and setting forth Dollarium, gold receipts for the stores and all of that. Yes, someone asked in in an inbox. So our Dollarium is used like an international bill of exchange. You can use it that way. The fiduciary document states that we can create affidavits for international bills of exchange, letters of credit, letters of marque and reprisal, all of that. That's what Dollarium is. Food vouchers, housing vouchers, Dollarium is that. Money, currency, anything cash. Grocery stores that accept cash, they can ring up Dollarium as cash, and it will fit right on in the drawer. Yes. What is our obligation and our duty where that is concerned? Is proper notification, proper court actions. Period. Yes. Grocery stores can take a piece of toilet paper and hit the cash button and put the toilet paper in there, and the machine will acknowledge the toilet paper as cash. They might go to jail for that, but they can do it. They will go to jail for that. But my point being, if we state, since we have stated that Dollarium is cash, that we can lien, levy, bond, and then notify, and then begin to use our Dollarium as cash at grocery stores. This is a must, because guess what? Look on the screen. I'm just saying. What are people supposed to use? What are they supposed to use? Well, why is that happening? It's happening because we said stop with the debt enactments. Stop with the debt enactments. Islam. So with that being stated, Islam, Empress.
Islam. I was looking at it.
I have a quick question. Oh, sorry.
Just one moment, Empress. Empress Rosetta, go ahead. And then Belinda, you can go after. I believe it was Belinda or Empress. Yes. Empress Rosetta.
Islam. I was looking at a video earlier this week where Moore showed where a corporate actor used $1 fiat to purchase a mansion, and a release of mortgage and deed of trust was placed on the record. Mm-hmm. There was no language about paying or paid. It was a release of.
You said it was a release of mortgage
and deed of trust.
Okay, so that is simply someone demonstrating what we said about release of interest and using, and listen, the funny mirror, trust and believe, any domicile that was enacted in there, there's nobody in it. That was something to show that process works. That's all it was. But, where funny mirror stuff is concerned, nobody's buying or selling anything. It's not happening. But look at that process, because that's the same process that we're talking about when we say release of interest and these things that we're stating up here. Because, see, even if someone took a $1 bill, quote unquote, if it's fiat, they haven't done anything but gotten themselves in deeper debt. So this is what we're talking about, what you see on the screen. Lien, levy, bond. A debt cancellation means I don't care if they have one fiat note. That fiat note is canceled because it's debt. And see, because we've done that earthwide, all fiat is canceled. And no one's going to miraculously make debt credit when we said it's canceled. And we have our own. That's why more sovereign Dollarium was so important, is because debt does not become credit. We do away with the debt and then we create the credit and then match up the numbers. So they haven't purchased anything. They've enacted purchasing. But even if they did it for $1, whatever the government says goes. Because look here, Empress, and I was going to show this next. Cyber attack takes down one of the largest mortgage lenders in the U.S.
Yeah, that's who I'm dealing with.
Okay. So that all they're saying is that all mortgages that went through that thing are no good, because guess what? You can't take all the records away and then put them back up there and expect people to believe that what you put up there is right.
And also, like all loans are the same. So those companies purporting to be mortgage lenders and whatever, they're all debt collectors.
That's it. And so what do? We remove their ability to claim that there's any debt attached to the land. And see, those who use $1 and one Federal Reserve debt note to claim some land, they have not removed the interest, because that's a big giant contract. If that one quote unquote dollar was a Federal Reserve debt note with a serial number on it, all they did was put another debt contract on there. And the debtors come for their debt, because the debt will bury the debt.
And from my studies, I believe that fiat, any, like mention of fiat in a contract is an obligation to pay tax.
Yes. And not only that, it's also an obligation to be under the jurisdiction of dead. So that means that at any time, if they outlaw anything that you've done, they can throw you in jail if you claim their corpse. That's why it was a termination of all corporate contracts and not just some of them. Because some were saying, well, I'll terminate everything except the Social Security number, because I need that to get my veterans pay. No, your veterans pay ain't even coming from there. It's not coming from there. It's not coming from a third-party interloper. You're the creditor. So all you do is restate that contract. Restate it, and when you restate it, it's now on the land. We had to do that. We had to do it. Restate our VA money, Veterans Administration money. Because then, and only then, was it money. Before, it wasn't money. It was being given to a corpse, and I'm not a corpse. So I had to state, hey, I'm not a corpse. I'm the creditor. I'll pay myself. And those resources, they had to keep coming with all the stuff that we put out there.
Islam
Emperor.
Can you open the door for, I believe it's Nevaeh wanting to get in?
Indeed.
Please.
Islam. So as you can see on the screen, this is an enactment of what is actually already taken place. None of those previously doing business as banks and mortgages and all of that stuff, none of that stuff was real. Now, look here, a major mortgage lender in the United States has suffered a serious cyber attack which forced it to pull some of its systems and endpoints offline. Systems and endpoints is the point. As a result, customers were unable to pay their mortgages or loans. Was anybody fighting and crying to do that? I just want to know. But even still, it says in an announcement published on the Mr. Cooper website, it was said that the company became aware of the attack on October 31st. Listen to me carefully. When they say the company became aware of it on October 31st, it could have happened 10 years ago. or on August 3rd, 2018, when we liened everybody. So there's no statute of limitations on fraud. They took immediate action to secure customer data. That means that they began to try and restate all of the accounts. And then they'll pick up the phone or they'll send letters and have everybody reclaim those corpses. That's what they wanted to do, but they can't do that. It says that action included locking some systems down, which still remain locked at press time. Listen, that means recapture enactments. Okay? So, again, the Empress, those are the persons who are enacting being the mortgage lender to a corpse that they created who has a nom de guerre that looks like the name that you own. They weren't even talking to you. They're not even talking to you. They're not talking to your person. So our suggestion to everyone is this. Whatever you were doing where mortgage was concerned, keep doing that until you perfect the process here. The process is lien, levy, bond, debt cancellation, and it's right here. We'll put it on the screen because the fact that these systems are going down means that we've perfected the process. The system, that thing was not going to go away until the real was done, okay? That other system was not going anywhere until the Moors did what we've been doing, which is take dominion over the legal process. And here it is: lien, levy, bond, debt cancellation, acquisition for property, proper commercial exchange on the public record in gold, silver, or Moorish sovereign Dollarium. Article 3, patent or a deed and title, and most are doing deed and title. Article 3 patent, again, that's going to be for companies or corporations who are going to be pulling up the natural resources. Removal statement of all presumed alien interest. Statement of debtors in abandonment, stating that the debtors, they owed, but they ran away. And then an occupancy certificate by way of the city. So I am Federal Way. I've issued an occupancy certificate for this domicile. Okay.
Islam,
Empress.
So would 8 and 9 be on the same document?
They can be, yes.
And correct me if I'm incorrect. Was you going to show one of yours that you had did, or as far as the removal statement of the presumed alien interest and statement of debtors in abandonment?
I can. I showed it before with a conveyance. I'll show it again. The one that I recently did for, let's see. It was a form that I restated.
Okay.
This was the release, affidavit for release of interest. Let's see. I don't know how my Empress, let's see, maybe she did it this way. I don't know how she changed this to make it look this way. Just a moment. Let me figure out how to change this.
Oh, you mean how your files appear on the oh, there's a bottom right hand corner. It's a little emblem. It's either 3 lines and you hit it, and then you can change it how you want it to look in your files.
Let's see. Let me see.
Did you see it?
I did not.
Oh, it's either that or the top. It's in the top, the bar. The yeah, it says view. You gotta find view, and there's the layout options and view options.
Let's see. Where is that at, Empress? Because
in the top of the bar of your files. If you open up your files, you know, say new. It looks like a scissor, and the name, edit, the trash can, sort, and then view layout options.
Okay. Okay, we did something right here. Okay, so this is the affidavit for interest, and I
can't see it yet.
Okay, just a moment. Let me pull it back.
There we are.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So this is the affidavit for release of interest and this one came from the Department of Motor Vehicles for a conveyance. The affidavit for release of interest, it just states that all interest claimed by debtor, tenant in abandonment, so we put both of them together also, the tenant in the debtor in abandonment, Mercedes-Benz of Tacoma is hereby released due to debtor's abandonment. Like I was stating before, even about the domiciles around here, the domiciles were previously enacted as being abandoned by us. That's what they were stating in the last era, that we had abandoned our estate, and so they were enacting other people coming and buying things and doing all of that. Well, all debtors, anybody using fiat, even if it's one fiat note, like Empress Rosetta was pointing out, even one fiat debt note, even one fiat debt note, that means that they are a debtor in abandonment. So they haven't really bought anything, and that's what we've been stating about people who were enacting buying and selling homes and things. They haven't bought and sold anything on our land because we don't accept that stuff that they were putting out. That's why they only existed on paper. They never existed on the real land. Now what we're doing is liens, levies, and bonds to put forth the proper exchange method. It says full authority to release all interest from all United States property is within the fiduciary attorney with facts as stated. So all Moors are fiduciary attorney with facts for the States United, and you can release all interest. And again, it was an enactment anyway. They've abandoned, okay, the legal system. And so this is what it looks like. This is how simple that statement is. Affidavit for release of interest. And then again, whenever you are doing anything, there's three parts of it, that the three parts of the process that must be done, which is proper identification of the parties. Okay, so with this affidavit for release of interest goes our fiduciary document on Moorish government letterhead. And then we state, so that states who we are. This states the cause for action. And then this statement right here about debtor, tenant, and abandonment states who they were and the remedy. The remedy is full. The remedy is full. The remedy is full release of all interest from all United States property, and that's within. And it should really say authority to release all foreign or alien interest. And then it was notarized here. And it's as simple as that. That's the affidavit for release of interest and statement of debtors in abandonment. This simple, very simple process. Okay?
Islam, gratitude.
Islam. And then here we put King County, Washington, which is the date and the location sign, and then we put our autograph here, and then the notary does her part, and we put our autograph there too. Okay? So there it is. Are there any other questions, comments, wisdom regarding this process?
Yes, because that statement I had read a few Congresses ago about what it states on the actors' website about how they are just recording documents and things, and even if at some point in time it later comes up that it was erroneous, on the top portion it spoke about interest and notice. Those two words were like jumped off the page when I read it, and it was saying that they only are doing recording there, and it talked about the interest of the parties in that regard, and then at the end it stated in red that they are not liable for their legal part of recording documents if at some time it becomes found that it was fraudulent, erroneous, and whatever, that their records were, because of the true heirs that are here at Earth are speaking, and they can't have anything on the record. And so, yes, that part, Islam.
Islam. So those who have, quote unquote, Mr. Cooper claiming anything, all you must do is restate who Mr. Cooper is. Because let me say this about the word Mr. and that abbreviation. In ancient writings, whenever you saw MR, it stood for more. Okay, MOOR, it stood for more. It either stood for more, or as time went on, upcoming, it stood for master. Same thing, more and master is the same word. And so they used to call our sons master this and master that, and they would call us master as well. So anyone, here is my suggestion for those who, where there's some claim by someone doing business as a Mr. Cooper, Mr. Cooper, this is what our suggestion would be to you. We state that you go to that website. Oh, and they have their name, quote unquote, in all lowercase letters, so you can capitalize it. You can put a capital M, capital C. You can, and it's in blue. So they're just waiting for you to go ahead and take dominion over this situation. It says on October 31st, Mr. Cooper, and that was Halloween, by the way. Let me tell you, everything that was foreign went away on Halloween in terms of the funny mirror, just so that you're aware. It's been gone, but that date was Halloween for real. It was Holy Wind, just like we stated. Islam Empress.
I was just going to add, they were collecting their corpses.
Of course.
It's the corpse day.
Yes, indeed. Yes. As stated by this Holy Congress, by the way.
Yep.
We told them to do that.
Commanded. They did as commanded.
And now we just take dominion over all. Mr. Cooper is in all lowercase letters. Let's add a capital letter or two, or you can capitalize the whole thing, because it is not a nom de guerre in ens legis, which is a creation by the law. Islam Empress.
So Mr. Cooper is actually Nation Star Mortgage, LLC, doing business as Mr. Cooper.
Yeah. Nation Star, Empress.
Mm-hmm.
Nation. Who's the nation? Who's the nation?
We are.
Indeed, all day. In other words, all they're doing is saying, please take us. Okay? It says on October 31st, Mr. Cooper became the target of a cybersecurity incident and took immediate steps to lock down our systems. That's a prison term. Lockdown is a prison term. In order to keep your data safe. How is it your data if they can lock it down? So that's what I'm saying about restating this, and this is how we would restate something like that. I'll just do a quick demonstration here on restating Mr. Cooper, because Mr. Cooper is not who he says he is. So what we would do with this is we take it, let me see if you can see what we're doing here. And we did a screen capture of the words Mr. and Cooper. And what we're going to do is take it into our program here on this computer and restate it. So let me get that program pulled up really quickly. And let me tell you how simple this really is. I'm not even going to take it into the program. What I'm going to do is do it right on the screen. For those who say, oh, I don't have that program, you can do this, though. What we would do is put Mr. Cooper on the screen here. Let me put it on there. Can you all see that, Mr. Cooper on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's on the screen with this little something that looks like it might be a trademark thing, but it's really not a trademark symbol. That's not a trademark. It looks like one, but it's not. So here's what we would do. We would take it, and I'm going to put a red mark. Just a second, I'm going to put a red mark on here. Oops. I'm going to put a red dot right here on Mr. Now, this is not going to be the most professional, but I'm just showing you how easy it is for us to restate this. Okay? Now, it's a little bit raggedy, y'all. You will clean it up. But this now is a national trademark for Mr. Cooper. So then we would take this, since we changed it, we restated it, and on a blank piece of paper, we would take that and put it at the top as the logo at the top. So here's a blank piece of paper. We put it at the top, and then we state, attention all offices. The following account is hereby paid in full. And then you put your account information. You put your account information, and I would put this in, let's say, blue. I would put it in blue. On this company document, it would be in blue. But then there would be an affidavit that says this same thing in red on Morse government letterhead. That is the beginnings of a proper exchange on the public record, because you're also going to send the Morse Sovereign Dollarium, whatever the amount is, a bond, the same things that we're going to be sending to these around here, a bond and everything. A 1099-C affidavit doing away with the debt, a 1099 acquisition, which acquires the property properly, a title, a deed, or a torrens, and our deeds and titles are torrens already, torrens systems. And the rest of the documentation that we pointed out earlier, okay, which would be, just one moment, let me put it back up on the screen. Which would be the affidavit for release of interest and things of that nature. So we restate all of that, or you could do Mr. Cooper this way in blue. And let me make that a little bigger so you can see it. You could do it this way, Mr. Cooper, however you choose.
Islam.
Islam.
Would you put the information stating that the account has been paid in full and the transaction was transacted at the court for whatever court that she was transacting it at? Because I think that
all of this information is going to be coming from the United States court.
Okay.
Because you're going to have court action language on your affidavit. You're going to have court action language on your original indigenous government affidavit. That's going to let them know that everything that's being stated is more to that court action. Okay. Okay, I don't know why that's coming up there, but we're going to stop that from presenting on here. Okay, so it's going to be everything we do is by court action anyway. Everything that we do is by court action. Okay, so that's why we send our court actions with everything, because all of the documentation is part of that court action. All of it. Are there any other questions, comments, wisdom? Any other questions, comments, or wisdom regarding any of the things that we stated here? Okay, let's see. One last thing, I want to put this document back up here. Just to be sure that we have covered everything. One moment. Just one moment. There it is. Okay. Let me make sure we covered everything here. Okay. Here's another story that came up about Credit Suisse, which I didn't know this happened. They didn't know they did this. Swiss had crashed, completely crashed. Just a moment, let me make sure that we can see this on the screen. Just one moment. Okay. Let me make sure you see here. Really quickly. Okay, let me just go down here to the bottom and make sure that we have gotten everything. Yeah, Credit Suisse, I was not aware that this enactment had been done, but the final days at Credit Suisse were marked by a $69 billion race for the exit. And as you all know, Credit Suisse was, they were enacting being the underwriters for CUSIP numbers and all types of things. Okay, they were supposed to be, Credit Suisse was the Swiss francs underwriter as well in their enactment. So all of that has fallen. All of it has fallen. So what we stated since, and UBS didn't really buy them. They were actually supposed to be, UBS was bankrupt also, even at the time that all of this happened. They're all bankrupt, all of that's done. That's what Halloween was for them. So in conclusion of all that we have stated, gold, silver, and more sovereign dollarium are not optional. They are the law. That's not our opinion. That's the law. All exchanges that have a cash option shall accept more sovereign dollarium gold receipts that are embossed, signed with a wet ink signature, and sealed with the right red thumbprint of the original indigenous Moorish American Al-Moroccan sovereign. And then for, if you, to do a little more research on that, here is 31 United States Code 5118 gold clauses and the consent to sue regarding gold clauses. So let's put this, I'll put this in the chat as well, so that you can do a little study on gold clauses. Gold clauses mean that gold and silver is backing whatever it is that's written. All of our affidavits have a gold clause, all of them, okay? So I'll put that in the chat here for everyone to see. There. Okay, are there any other questions, comments, wisdom from this great Congress? There was a question.
Hi, Empress.
Belinda had, yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So if subjects are only using gold and silver coins,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to know the value of the gold and silver coin.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get exchange? Let's say if you're spending less than the gold and silver coin is value, what are you going to get back in return?
Then
as change, let's say.
Yeah, as change, they're going to have to open books and do what they did in the past, which is, let's say you give them a coin and the coin is worth $2,000, but you're only spending $15. Then that's where books, the ledgers, are going to come into play. So you'll have a ledger where if you're going to spend any more than that, or, and this is where, again, where more sovereign dollarium is going to come in at. They can give you more sovereign dollarium gold receipts the same way that we did. As long as you're getting them from the right places, then you can take that and go and spend it somewhere else.
Islam. That was my question. Thank you for answering it.
You're welcome. All the businesses, everything, because see, we're the CEOs of all businesses also, so all our businesses are going to have more sovereign dollarium available in denominations all the way down to $1. So we'll be able to meet that expectation from our estate. Thank you for asking that question also. It's important that, just a minute, Empress Angel. It's important that all of the nuances of economic development be worked out, and I'm glad that we're all together here so that we can work through all of that. More sovereign dollarium will be used like any other cash medium from the last era. Islam. Empress Angel. Mm-hmm.
Yes, because that was a good question, because we would be receiving the gold being the bank.
Yeah.
And the bank would then give the change in the Dollarium. So that would be that part. So that would be any more that can receive gold, and because we valued gold at 50,000 and silver at 30,000, and on our measurement of value, then you would have to have that proper change for that gold receiving.
And that goes for all commerce. All commerce. Gold, silver, more sovereign dollarium, all commerce.
Islam.
She
just made a statement, and I thought we had revised that. So let me clarify. She just said you got gold at 50,000 as compared to more sovereign dollarium. I thought the dollarium was 1-to-1 to our United States dollar.
It is.
Okay, 1-to-1. So it's not a ratio of one gold coin, 50,000, or
No, it's 50,000. It's even 50,000 dollarium to 1 ounce of gold. That's why our bills are so big. That's why you have a 50,000 or 100,000 more sovereign dollarium.
For 1 ounce of gold.
For 1 ounce of gold. Yeah.
So when they send us one gold coin for some service, they don't use all the full value. We basically can send them a receipt. We have the ledger. We basically need to put on our ledger the difference that's on their account for that subject who just sent it to us, because they didn't get the full value of the use of their coin.
This is what we've been doing. Thank you for that question. This is what we've been doing. For example, we've received gold coins, different denominations of gold coins. Here is a gold coin that we received that is a 1/10 gold coin.
Okay.
This 1/10 gold coin is worth 1/10 of an ounce. Okay. And because it's worth 1/10 of an ounce, we don't have to put anything on our books that says we owe them anything. We just give them receipts for what they sent. So we're going to give them receipts for whatever they send. Some have sent gold coins that were as the same size as this silver coin right here, a 1 ounce gold coin. So we just send them 50,000 dollarium as their receipt.
Okay, but
for
that
one
gold
coin
being 1/10 of an ounce is 1/10 of 1 ounce of 50,000 would be 5,000.
5,000. So we have sent 5,000, and we explained that in the letter that we sent to them, that we're giving you 5,000 receipt of dollarium, and there are some in Congress who've done that, and they've gotten 5,000 dollarium for sending a 1/10 ounce gold coin.
Gotcha.
And then there was some who've been sending small bits of gold bullion, like we showed before, which was a 1/4 gram. So we do the math, and when we did the math, we are sending them $421 in more sovereign dollarium as the receipt for that, because $35 in gold times 50,000 an ounce, we had to change the grams to ounces, which it came out to 0.008 something ounces, 0.0008 or something of that nature. Then we multiplied that by 50,000 per ounce, and we came up with $400 and something. So we're sending him $401, I think it is, in more sovereign dollarium as his receipt.
By the way, I'm going to be sending for 3 licenses, 1 CDL and 2 state IDs, or state license IDs, whatever you call them, whatever we call them, with gold coin and Dollarium. So I'll be sending that off soon.
Islam. And again, all of our receipts for all of the services, we give receipts in more sovereign dollarium. And they can then turn around and spend that on whatever they're going to spend it on, because again, we're clearing the way even at grocery stores and everything else, so that they can take the receipt credits that we give them and use them in the territory. Because see, that's what corporations were doing with our receipts. When we paid them and they send us a receipt, they keep a copy of the receipt and put the receipt on the stock market. And so even receipts for debt was credit for them. So we're doing the same thing, where the people are getting credit back. Even when they pay for a license in gold and silver, they're getting more sovereign dollarium back that they can then use, because we're clearing the way at the grocery stores and every place else for them to use their more sovereign dollarium. Receipts that they get, they can use it as money. Islam. Yes, Justice Harold said abbreviation for ounce was OZ, Wizard of Oz. Yes, indeed. That's so what that was for. That would encourage subjects to turn in their gold and silver. Yes, it will, Belinda, it will do that. It will do that. And again, even in the last era, and we've made this point before, people had gold and silver in the last era and couldn't use it. They couldn't go down the street and go to the grocery store and use it. Why? Because the Moors, we are the exchange mechanism. We can turn gold and silver into groceries. We can turn gold and silver into conveyances and domiciles and all of that. We can do that. And we will to do that for everyone, so that everyone can have a way to do commerce back and forth. Lawful and legal commerce. So that way they can use their gold and silver for something that will benefit them. Being able to travel and traverse and transport and drive on your land, Moors, on the land, and subjects, for everyone to be able to move back and forth safely without fear of molestation and violation is important to all of us. That's important to all of us, because it's part of commerce, being able to go and travel and traverse and drive. So I have nothing further for this Congress. If there be nothing further, peace and grand rising. We will meet again on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you for governing, all of us governing together, because it is our responsibility to govern this vast state. With that being stated, peace and grand rising to the sovereign. Yes, Justice Kyle he says he has one question. Go ahead, Justice Kyle. You can star 6. Go ahead, Justice Kyle.
I have a question.
Yes.
So is it the same for someone that owes student loans to just send them Dollarium?
It is. You first, yes, that's correct. First and foremost, it is not you that owes; it's their corpse that owes. However, you do want to properly rebut that with a proper exchange for whatever it is that you feel you've done there. Okay. A proper exchange is going to be lien, levy, and bond. And then what you're really doing, you're not paying a debt. What you're doing is you're subsidizing your own education because you were the creditor to that anyway. So yes, Morris Sovereign Dollarium can be used for that.
Okay.
We suggest that you study the lien and the levy and the bonding process. They're not difficult. There's templates for them. We've already done the templates. And so, you know, we suggest that you study those processes.
Yeah, I have a long way to go with that. I was taking my time because I really wanted, when I put in my judicial notice and proclamation, I really wanted to find a cold hard fact that links me to Moors. And it took me a while, and like I was looking for like family names to link me up. And I finally found it through my grandmother. And I finally know what to, because I didn't want to use that template that everybody uses. And I wanted to make my own special proclamation. And I wanted to actually put something that can some actual family names that are known to have been from the Moors. And I finally found that link, and I finally found some that have documented that last name, and that's how I'm going to go about with my proclamation.
So let me just state for the record that all names come from the Moors, all of them, because nobody had a name until we gave names. That's number one. Number two, capitalism that was done in the last era by frauds made all names frauds that were under that system. We were never under that system, and no one was ever under that system. It just had to be stated properly in the right way. The names had to be stated properly, not as nom de guerre, but as instruments that we use. And that's what the name change and judicial proclamation is all about. And yes, everyone, it is within everyone's view right now to link themselves properly. So we encourage that everyone link themselves properly.
Yeah, well, with my case, I had to be careful with what I put on my judicial notice because of the name that I'm going with, my appellation, and the name that I'm going with. I knew I'm expecting to find some problems when I put my name on the record, and that's why I was looking for, like just cold hard proof that is undeniable and it's not even recorded by me, and that's what I finally found not too long ago.
Okay. However, the Spirit is leading you to state who you really are in honor, we encourage that you do that.
Yeah, it took me a while because I was looking from my father's family last name, and I never saw it when I looked through my grandmother's last name. It was all in Al-Andalus in Spain, from one of the biggest 5 families from Al-Andalus before they fell to the Spaniards.
So let me say this about all of that as well, just to add, just to put a little more light into that whole situation. We, for example, the Ritchie family, I'll just use the Ritchie family because that's the family name. We gave our servants the family name of Ritchie for them to use while we were asleep. So there are some really huge companies and entertainers and all of that go by the name of Ritchie. Now that we're awake and we know who we are, All of those who have the Ritchie family name that are not of the original indigenous, in other words, their mother is a modern making. They use the name Ritchie, but they state that it's a family name, family, and we look the word family up. But they still link themselves to us by that name. Okay, so as subjects, they are Ritchies. For example, there's someone that has a company, Ritchie Auctioneers. There's someone who's married to a Ritchie, Guy Ritchie, and someone doing business as Madonna in the last era that was married to someone named Guy Ritchie. That particular one is a subject of our family. We know that for sure. By bloodline, his family served our family. And so that is his connection to the Moors. Whereas there are other Moors who didn't know how they were connected and had to see by bloodline and birthright. So we Moors look at our mother's lineage. Our subjects look at their father's lineage. So that hopefully that will shed some light on how to research who you are and where you fit in all of this. Moors, our nationality is granted by mother because in her womb is where we get our blood. Okay? Everyone gets their blood from their mother in reality, and that's why some look to the father's lineage and connects through their fathers that they have something to do with Moors and Moorish heritage of some kind. So everyone is welcome. Let's make that clear. Everyone is welcome, and everyone should. In fact, it's the law that everyone properly identify. So we're exactly, absolutely just grateful for everyone. Islam. With that being stated, we're just so grateful that everything is in order now.
Done.
Yes, Empress. Yes.
Yes.
Empress Shasha, you're just another, just affirmation.
Yes.
So with that being stated, peace and grand rising, Moors, we did it. Let's keep going. Grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs and their subjects, Islam.
Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Yes, indeed.
More fire.
Yes. Islam.
Peace and energy.
Yes, indeed.